Hello, Kamp Woods. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Yes. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy Saturday to interview with the book toasters and community library of Mississippi. So, um, I've had the opportunity to review your first published work. Congratulations.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
yes, and actually, one of the poems that I really love that you did is Crisis Cry. And when I was reading, I wanted you to give me some feedback on um, what some of the lyrics mean in a minute. But right now, I want you to tell everybody something about you, where you live, and the name of your book and how you can buy it.
Awesome. Again, my name is Kamp Woods. I reside in Houston, Texas. This is my first poetry collection titled Dismantled Damsel, illustrated by Vanessa Kaiser. It can be purchased on lulu.com as well as Amazon. You can just type in Dismantled Damsel and it comes up. I'm really excited about this collection because, again, it is my first work. I have been writing since I was in second grade. Even before I could spell words correctly, I was writing pictures or drawing pictures with a friend and coming home to speak with my grandmother, and she would write the words for me. I'd let her know what I was trying to say with the pictures, and she'd try to come up with the words for me. So for this to have come together at this point in my life, turning 22 this year, I just feel like it's time for me to step outside of my comfort zone and introduce myself to them.
Wow. And so I'm so impressed because you are a third generation poet. And you just mentioned your grandmother. So tell us about your grandmother. She bound a book, a collection of over 300 poems. Tell us about her poetry and her name.
Absolutely. My grandmother she's one of my main motivators and inspirations. I lived with her for a period of my life. So not only am I close to her because she's my grandmother, but she was somebody that I was able to really follow in her footsteps. When she was around my age or sometime in her adulthood, she bound her own collection of poetry that includes work from her late husband, Tommy Phelps. And she shared that with her daughter, my mother, Ebony, who also is a poet. And from that, my mother and my grandmother inspired me to continue the legacy of being creative and sharing my work in a poetic manner.
Did you know your grandfather?
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Did you know your grandfather?
Not very well. He did pass away around the time that I actually discovered my interest in writing around second grade. I did meet him a few times, and he was a very nice guy. And reading his work and seeing his illustrations, because he was also an artist, really is moving and sticks with me.
Well, tell us something about your grandfather as a poet, briefly, your grandmother and your mother, or how you drew inspiration from. What did they write about that really inspired you, each one, each poet?
Absolutely. My grandfather would write a lot about love and emotions, how he saw the world at the time. And my grandmother and grandfather are native to Houston, grew up in Houston during the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So what I find most encapsulating about their work is the emotion and the time period and the historical events that they were able to describe in their work. And my mother is someone who's a little bit more sassy with her poetry. Although she explores different emotions like love and sadness and lust, her poetry is a little bit more lyrical. And again, my family, they're a family of poets, but also a family of privacy. something that we really only shared with each other and behind closed doors, or in letters and greeting cards. So although their work is beautiful and it inspired me to continue to craft words, it wasn't anything that's been shared publicly. So Dismantled Damsel is an exploration into the duality of femininity, and explores the inspiration that I got from my grandmother and my mother.
What are some of the historical points that your grandparents discussed in their poetry?
They didn't necessarily discuss historical poets, just different events, like the civil rights movement. Being a Black man living in the 60s and 70s wasn't an easy time. It just wasn't an easy time. Seeing countless people dying, countless jobs being lost, it wasn't an easy time to navigate. And my grandfather struggled with his own mental health. So his poetry was a way for him to explore that and to put that into words.
Okay, okay. Now, tell everybody the name of your book and how they can buy it.
Absolutely. Again, the name of my book is Dismantled Damsel. It is my debut poetry collection, illustrated by Vanessa Kaiser. It's a collection of over 30 poems, and it has its own illustrations to accompany the poems as well. And again, my poetry, this collection titled Dismantled Damsel, is really an exploration of femininity. My own emotions as I was going through my adolescence, coming up as a Black woman in the early 2000s, and just how I have seen things, how I have coped with the events of this generation.
Okay, well, can you read Crisis Cry and give me an interpretation of it? Because I was trying to figure out the hidden meanings in it.
Absolutely. Crisis Cry is just one of the many poems that readers can enjoy from Dismantled Damsel. It goes, our lambs were never silent. They shared pleads for help through the slaughter and the violence. Some have protested while others have chose to riot. Regardless, we can collectively agree that we're tired of dying. The ghetto cries to God and gospel with questions of how this treacherous reality is still possible. Will Black people ever be free or forever remain held hostage? And I just want to let that sit, because it's really a lot packed into a small piece. But I call it Crisis Cry because I feel like years ago, with the George Floyd protest, I saw countless of my peers, countless of my family members, countless people in the midst of a pandemic marching outside, crying in the streets, asking for just change. And that's not the first time that we've seen that happen. So it's really a crisis cry. The ghetto cries to God and gospel with questions of how this treacherous reality is still possible. Will Black people ever be free or forever remain held hostage?
That's a powerful piece. Yes, and that is, you are a poet that writes with depth and very expressive, and that's probably natural. I mean, because your grandfather was a poet, your grandmother poet, your mother was a poet, all in Houston, Texas, and now you are a poet, but you are the first published poet.
Absolutely. And that's a distinction that I wanted to make with my opportunity, because I have been writing since I was in elementary school. I've done smaller contests, and it's something that I've always just turned to as like a therapeutic method. And it is something that I could have kept to myself. But at the same time, sharing my work and seeing the impact that my work has on other people and the conversations that are generated from the words that I invoke, I felt like it was important for me to, again, step outside of my comfort zone and start wider conversations about femininity, about womanhood, about Black women, about light, and about crisis cries, about what we're going through as people. So again, Dismantled Damsel is about coming undone as a person, but also coming back together. In the end, it explores more positive pieces about healing and just self-realization as well.
Very good. And if you're just tuning in, I'm interviewing, I'm Meredith Cole McGee. I'm interviewing Kamp Woods. This is her first published collection of poems, Dismantled Damsel. You can click the link on Facebook and buy her book and support this amazing 3-generation poet and her family in Houston, Texas. And can you tell the audience how much the book is?
Yes, currently the book is $15.93. You can purchase again through my author's site on lulu.com or through Amazon. I will be running a special soon in the month of April. So you can follow me on Instagram at Kamp Woods for more information regarding specials or even to check out more of my work. But I will be running a birthday special because I will be turning 22 soon. So again, stay tuned for that.
Okay, very good. Now, can you tell us something about your process of deciding to self-publish rather than use a publisher?
Absolutely. So I've been writing since I was in 2nd grade, and I actually discovered Lulu, the platform that I use to self-publish and the print-on-demand company that I use to self-publish my book around the time when I was in 3rd or 4th grade. And at this time, I was just making books in Microsoft Word and making my own illustrations and the program Paint on my grandma's computer. Literally just after school, I'd make my own little books, and I found out that there was a way for you to get it printed up and bounded. And I thought that that was really fascinating. Although I didn't have any sales skills or marketing skills or even the best grammar when I was in elementary school, I thought that it was just awesome that I was able to produce my work myself and also just have complete creative control. As a creative, I enjoy the responsibility and freedom that comes with self-publishing versus traditional publishing. There are pros and cons, but if you are somebody who is interested in self-publishing, utilizing lulu.com is a great option. It's something that I've stuck with for over a decade at this point, and they've only expanded their platform and offer better packages for self-published authors.
Okay, and you also have a arts degree from Houston Community College. How did your arts degree help you with your book of poems?
That's a great question. So I actually got my associate's degree in arts when I was in high school. I did a dual credit early college program. So while I was getting my high school diploma, I was simultaneously getting my college degree. And it was definitely challenging, but being in a more stressful or high pressure environment at an earlier age, going through the motions of high school and puberty and adolescence, but also the responsibility of college and financial aid and more like adult responsibilities, definitely inspired poems like Time Bomb and Under Pressure and Dependence. I was able to see a lot more of myself and a lot more personality through the people that I met by going to early college and achieving that degree earlier.
Now, I just read one of your 5-star reviews. I believe this is on Amazon. And one of the things that I really paid attention to was the fact that this reviewer said that some of your poems they had to reread, and that is just a testament of your depth in terms of being a poet and making people think critically about what you're the story that you're telling in your poems. Now, you just mentioned several poems. Give us a little information on the story that's in those two poems for readers. Briefly.
Absolutely. I'd be more than happy to answer that for you. And my poetry collection, it's definitely short. It's about 50 pages. If you're somebody who likes to speed read, you can get through it in a day. But most people that I have spoken to, or even the reviews that you mentioned, most people are taking their time. They're saying that, like, man, like I'm stuck on page 2 or 3 because it's so much to unpack. So it's definitely it's small, but it packs a punch. It's one that can definitely draw you back in, and something that I've been told will be revisited for time to come. So just to give a little bit more context into a few of the poems that I mentioned, like Time Bomb and Under Pressure, I wanted to explore the themes of stress, mental illness, even triumph in my pieces. There are a lot of moments in life when many people feel like they are on rock bottom, like they are about to give up, like there is no light at the end of the tunnel, really. I'm someone who's been there. But this collection serves as the light at the end of the tunnel, how I was able to find that light at the end of the tunnel, what guided me back to the light at the end of the tunnel. Because sometimes it does get dim.
Well, when the two of us were first introduced, you let me read your manuscript. And I want to say, piggyback on what you just said, I read the entire piece in one setting. I started and I didn't stop until I get to the end. And to me, that is a testament of how good your poems are, because it didn't take me 2 or 3 reads. I did it all in one setting, and I did have to stop and think. And I was wondering, did you write it in the George Floyd era? Some of the pieces, and you just confirmed that for me, and thank you for that. And I want you to tell the audience one more time your name, the name of your collection of poetry, and how they could buy it.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Kamp Woods. That's KampWoods. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I just published my debut poetry collection, Dismantled Damsel. You can purchase it on Amazon and Lulu.com. You can find me on Instagram to check out sneak peeks or behind the scenes of my project, and even more information regarding reviews and how to purchase. So yeah, I'm really excited. My goal with this project is to expand my audience beyond my close friends and family and really become a household name. I'd love to make a lasting impression on generations to come and help people heal through my words.
Okay. And you told me that for colored girls who have considered suicide, say that name. You said that was one of the books of poetry that you liked.
Absolutely. So for colored girls who have considered suicide when the rainbow is not enough. It was actually adapted into a Tyler Perry film in 2010, starring Janet Jackson, Tessa Thompson, Whoopi Goldberg. Some may have seen it. However, and I was introduced to the poetry from the film. And from that, I was able to discover that, similar to my collection, it was the writer's debut poetry collection. And she turned that into a theatrical adaptation. So instead of it just being spoken word, or instead of it just being a book, she brought poetry to life in a different way that really hasn't been done since. And not just bringing poetry to life, but bringing Black narratives to life, and exploring dance, song, body, and movement. And is still performed to this day. So Dismantled Damsel, if you're someone who is into Four Colored Girls, someone who is moved by Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison, K.Y. Robinson, Nakia Washington, Dismantled Damsel is definitely something that you want to have on your bookshelf.
Right, and thank you for that fact, because I never knew that Tyler Perry ever used the work of someone else for one of his films, which is really cool for someone of his status to take the a play written by a Black woman and turn it into a movie and take it to Hollywood, which he's always successful. Everything he does. Do you think of doing anything like that yourself? I mean, taking your poems into making a play out of it?
Absolutely. There's definitely going to be more from me in the future as far as performative work, more books. I definitely plan to expand on poetry. I want to explore nonfiction work as well, on the writing side. But I am very moved and inspired, and really moved and inspired by the work that has been done in a performative way. So definitely stay tuned for that. There will be more to come from Kamp Woods.
So if I came and visited Houston, Texas, would there be a spot where I could find you or people like you who do spoken word? Is there a certain spot that you hang out at, or
Since the pandemic happened, I really haven't moved around as much. However, the world has opened back up, and there are plenty of spots around. There is the Avant Garden. There are definitely different open mic and spoken word slots that I will that you can't catch me at. Definitely stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram, as I mentioned, to check out more of my work and to get more information about
that? Okay. Okay, so tell us one more time the name of your book and how they could buy it, and then give us your final thoughts before we conclude the interview. And thank you so much. And I really enjoyed reading your entire collection. I was very moved by how deep it was, and it was so thought-provoking. Thank you for sharing this with the world. And congratulations on your new publication, Dismantled Damsel.
Thank you so much, Ms. Meredith. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. And this was also my first live podcast. So it was really a pleasure, the opportunity to collaborate with you. Again, my name is Kamp Woods. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, or purchase my debut poetry collection, Dismantled Damsel, on Amazon and Lulu.com. It is a collection of my own poetry and includes illustrations that take you along the journey from self-destruction to self-realization. And again, like, if you are just interested in supporting a new poet who is interested in expanding her audience to new households, you are more than welcome to follow me on Instagram and get more information about my work. I look forward to speaking with more individuals and more fans. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share my work.
Okay, thank you. And also, I want to invite you to the Holiday Book Festival, which will be live on Zoom and Facebook Live the Saturday after Thanksgiving this year, as a vendor, so that you could read some of your poem and sell in the marketplace.
That sounds wonderful, and I look forward to that. And anybody who's tuning in, you can definitely catch me with more information regarding that. Just stay tuned. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Kamp Woods, the new author of Dismantled Damsel, and you can buy it wherever you buy books.
Absolutely. Thank you
connection.
so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.